When people deploy, "We are a republic, not a democracy," they often invoke the founders, specifically James Madison, who in Federalist No. 10 distinguished between a pure democracy and a republic. I want to walk through what Madison actually said, because the gap between what he wrote and what the phrase pretends he wrote is enormous. Madison's exact language matters here. He wrote about a pure democracy, by which he meant direct democracy, where every citizen votes directly on every issue. He distinguished that from a republic, by which he meant a representative system where citizens elect a small body of representatives who vote on policies on their behalf. Read that again. Madison was distinguishing between direct democracy and representative democracy. Both are forms of democratic governance. The distinction is about how citizens exercise democratic authority, not about whether they should exercise it. Madison's argument in Federalist No. 10 was specifically about scale. The conventional wisdom of the 18th century, drawing on Montesquieu, was that republics could only function in small territories where citizens could know their representatives personally. Madison argued the opposite. He argued that a large republic was actually more democratic in practice than a small direct democracy, because the diversity of interests in a large republic made it harder for any single faction to dominate and oppress minorities. That is not an argument against democracy. That is an argument for how to do democracy at scale. Federalist scholar Keith Whittington has documented that the founders saw themselves as what he calls conservative Democrats, not anti-democrats. They were debating how to implement popular sovereignty in a country too large for direct democracy, not whether to implement popular sovereignty. The Federalist Papers themselves contain over 30 references to democratic principles, popular sovereignty, and the consent of the governed. Madison repeatedly described the proposed Constitution as a system designed to produce government grounded in the deliberate sense of the community. When the modern phrase invokes the founders to oppose democracy, it is using the founders against the actual content of what they wrote. The historical record on this is not subtle. The founders were not opposed to democratic governance. They were opposed to one specific form of it: direct, unmediated majority rule in favor of another form, representative democracy at scale. This is part 3 of a 5-part series called Republic, Not a Democracy. Part 4 traces where the modern phrase actually came from. Spoiler, it was not the founders.